Welcome to the Fitness and Finance Podcast with Jeff Smith from The Retirement Smith and Jennifer Scherer from Fredericksburg Fitness Studio. True wealth isn't just about finances. It's about maintaining a healthy body and a secure financial future. The Fitness and Finance Podcast is here to help you build strength in both areas, tackling financial strategies for retirement while also discussing ways to stay active, healthy, and energized. Now let's get started with Fitness and Finance.
Well, welcome to Smith Fitness and Finance today. Yes. We have our hosts, Jeffrey Smith and Jennifer Scherer. And today, this voice probably is not familiar for our listeners and viewers. I'm Jaclyn, and I am subbing for Tony today because he decided he's too good for us.
Yeah, he's like...
But congratulations to his daughter graduating.
Yes. His daughter's graduating from flight school or from not flight school. What is it? Flight attendant.
Flight attendant.
School.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so they're visiting, her and enjoying the sunshine while they're at it.
Flying the friendly skies.
Yes.
Yes. Cool. How are you guys?
Great.
We were just about to make a bad joke about how much better looking Tony got since the last one.
I'll take that.
I'm pretty sure most of our listeners will feel the same way. So I'm pinch hitting for the guy that makes the jokes today.
Yes, you are.
I guess I'm gonna have to do that.
Yeah.
You guys are the smart ones today.
Yeah. Where is the dad jokes? Right.
Yeah. Well, I got too many of those. Yeah. I got out dad joked one time when I said a dad joke it was in a coffee shop, and the girl I told a dad joke to, she's like, I don't get it. I don't have a dad.
Oh, God.
Oh my gosh, that was the best dad joke I've ever heard.
Do you think it was true?
I don't know, but it was funny. And she laughed. So I think it might have been true, Jaclyn. I'm not sure.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I think, when we were discussing what we wanted to talk about today, you guys don't know me as well as Tony. And so something came up that, I'm into the health scene. Unlike Tony, the pizza buffet and I don't know what he drank. Coke. He drinks Diet Coke and regular Coke all day long. That's not me.
Right.
And I'm more with Jennifer on this one. So Jennifer, why don't you tell our listeners and viewers what we're going to be talking about?
Yeah. So you had mentioned right before the show started that you are into health and that you have gone gluten-free in the last 5 years or so.
Mm-hmm.
And immediately I got excited because that's a topic that's new for our listeners.
Yes.
We haven't really talked about specific, diets and how they affect your lifestyle and your overall symptoms. And my first question was, what made you choose to go gluten? So if you could share, kind of what that path looked like for you, and then I would love to explore more. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think, COVID changed the world, as we all know.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I was extremely overweight. I was, just extremely overweight, very unhealthy. I would be in sports or whatever, but once those sports went away, then what do you do with your time? What did you do to stay healthy? And so I completely kind of cold turkey, got rid of everything. I'm like, let's just start from scratch. I'm home all the time. So what's the worst that can happen?
Right.
If I'm not feeling well or whatever, I have a bathroom right here. I have, no plans that I have to get in the car and drive 5 hours and, whatever.
Yeah.
And so I instantly, from going gluten-free, I started actually cutting out sugar, period. And it was, I ate fruit and I ate vegetables. That was allowed. But anything with the less than 1 gram of sugar or whatever in ingredients, I wouldn't eat. And then I was like, actually, it might be gluten. And I felt amazing after doing just sugar-free for 2 weeks. It's all you got to do is, I think for me, it was 2 weeks. And then it really shifted my, view on, I'm not craving sugar anymore. I'm not craving sweets. And that included bread. Bread has a lot of refined sugar in it.
Sure does.
And so then I cut out gluten and I've been so much healthier mentally, physically.
Right,
I can plan for my day and not worry about needing to be super close to a bathroom all the time. And
going over a bridge and getting stuck.
yes,
Right.
yes,
Right.
yes.
It's interesting for me to talk through this because I deal with, clients that actually have celiac disease.
Yes.
Where obviously gluten is a huge trigger of like their autoimmune response.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also deal with clients that have, IBS or SIBO, right? Or they just have inflammation in response to certain foods.
Can you break that down for the listeners? Because that confuses me. I have no idea what you're saying.
Yeah. So, IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, and it's basically, gut inflammation for various reasons. And that's why, as soon as you mentioned that, I said, every client is an individual and they respond differently to different stimulus. I usually do an elimination style diet where we remove systematically anything that might be triggering our response. And like in some cases, when we remove refined sugars, that's enough to clear up their symptoms. In other cases, we go explore other areas, right? But they're required to keep a food log, and they keep detailed notes after they've consumed a particular food that they think is a culprit. And then we kind of go at it from an investigator standpoint, like what do we find here? What are the trends here?
Yeah.
Rather than just removing everything at once, because then you don't know, right? What it was that was really helping you. But it's interesting because gluten isn't inherently inflammatory for everyone, right? It's not universally harmful. And I think a lot of us, you mentioned influencers, a lot of us are fed this information from social media that dairy is bad, gluten is bad, bananas are bad, coffee is bad, you name it.
Eggs are good, then they're bad, then they're good.
Yes.
Yeah. And whole grains that contain gluten can actually support your microbiome, they're in the form of fiber and prebiotics. So the issue really becomes your individual tolerance. And that's where I'm so interested to learn for someone like yourself. You said that, it helped with your cycle and it had multiple positive effects on your lifestyle. And I think that's amazing that you were able to do that successsucally on your own.
Yeah.
Without a dietitian supporting you through it.
I mean, I remember when I was, around 300 pounds or working my way towards 300 pounds, my sister, Emily, had a lot of the same symptoms that you're talking about, Jaclyn. And so this has been a thing that she's been dealing with for a long time. But she mentioned, what was it? It was like, what is the...
well, she got bit by a tick.
Yeah, she had like...
and so she had
Lyme's disease?
Yes.
Yeah, she had Lyme's disease?
Yes, exactly. Thank you. She wasn't able to eat certain red meat.
Right. Yeah, there were certain things that were real big triggers. She had a histamine response to a lot of different foods, and it was really, really scary. A couple of times she had to go to the ER. And I mean, so I guess, the thing is, you don't know where these things stem from necessarily. But when I was dealing with that, I did what is the parasite that
Cellcore?
Wait, what
was the there's a
parasite cleanse, yeah.
Yeah, there's a cleanse that you can do. Anyway, I did that.
Yeah,
and really it was eliminating bread and beer and stuff that was yeasty. And I just remember the clarity that I got back from that, like stopping, not eating heavy foods like bread and pizza specifically, and sugars. I mean, I was immediately more clear. It wasn't that brain fog thing. Did you experience any of that, Jaclyn?
Yeah. And I can say it's very similar to any sort of addiction, right? We talk about, maybe going to the casino and gambling is an addiction, or alcohol or whatever.
Right.
And food can be also an addiction. And I think when you almost go through a withdrawal of, I need that. It's sort of my routine. It's what I crave. And then you have to get through over that hump to then not crave it anymore.
Yeah. And I think a lot of times with the addiction mindset, when you eliminate something from your diet, it's usually something processed. And I think a lot with gluten, especially, it's often tied to bread or pastries or, high sugar foods. And then if you really boil it down, it was the removal of the processed foods that really improved your symptoms. Maybe not necessarily the gluten.
So
Yeah.
well, let me tell you. So after I went gluten-free, I actually started baking sourdough.
Okay.
And so I do eat gluten because, the sourdough is made of flour.
Yep.
But what's the ingredients? Flour, water, and salt. That
Right.
is it.
Right.
So it's nothing refined sugar. There's no
Exactly.
sugar in it, period. And I don't get that same, I need to have it, or, this is what's going to fill me up. It doesn't do that. It's delicious,
Yeah.
but I don't get that craving for it.
But so the fermentation, you make your own?
Yeah.
That's so cool. The fermentation process is often what reduces your symptoms, right? So I think a lot of times during the fermentation, it actually breaks down some of the gluten proteins. And then we can get and nerd out here and talk about FODMAPs and all that, but it reduces the FODMAPs as well. And then that can make it much easier for you to digest if you did have, IBS or any bloating response. Yeah.
And it actually creates, I don't even know, I mean, you know this more than me, Jennifer, but it creates like an alcohol protein in it that, actually helps. So the same thing with kombucha is kind of how I explain it to people, is that, that fermentation creates that small amount of alcohol that actually helps you digest it.
Yeah. So the fermentation, the whole idea of eating fermented foods, whether it's kimchi, apple cider vinegar, tempeh, all that kind of thing.
Sauerkraut.
Is that both are fermented. Like all those foods are fermented, and they all produce alcohol briefly. That sugar is basically converted into the healthy, organic acids.
Yeah.
But it's like less than, if you look at the bottle of a kombucha, I think it'll say like warning, this has less than 0.5%, alcohol. I would say the biggest difference in kombucha is that you have the alcohol remaining because it's not cooked.
Yes.
Whereas sourdough, that alcohol is burning off during the cooking process. So
that's a great point.
For you, if you had IBS or any other issue, drinking something like kombucha would actually be a great, I don't know if you're doing that already, but a great addition to also eating the sourdough.
Yeah.
We try to eat at least 1 to 2 servings of fermented food a day. We do eat a lot of sauerkraut.
I'll make sure to get your address so I can send you a loaf of my fresh bread.
We would love that.
I just made an avocado toast on sourdough before we started.
Let me tell you about this avocado toast he made today. Well, he was telling me about it as I was just in awe as I was eating it. I was like, what did you put
in heaven?
Yeah. It had avocado. He said a half a cup of cilantro.
Yep.
3 cups of spinach.
Finely chopped.
Pumpkin seeds.
Ooh, pumpkin seeds. Those are amazing for you too.
And they're a little salty too.
High in zinc, good for immunity. You had dates in there.
Wow.
What else?
I had bruschetto.
Oh, it was so good.
And I had
all on one piece of toast.
It was like almost like all mixed.
It all together. So I mixed.
Wow.
And I put like what else did I put in that thing?
You had an egg on top.
We had an egg on top. And I toasted it and I put Havarti cheese.
Oh my word, it was delicious.
And then a drizzle of hot honey over top of that.
Yes, hot honey is man, you guys are making me drool over here.
It was good.
He's an amazing cook.
Wow. I mean, those are all the superfoods. I mean, all
Yes.
of those are superfoods right
Yeah.
on top. And
I said if
that's
we could do the
amazing.
nutrition analysis on this, we're getting omegas. I mean, because the nuts, or not the nuts,
Yes.
the pumpkin seeds.
Mhm.
We're getting fiber, from the avocado, and
Mhm.
we're getting the fermented food from the sauerkraut. I mean, from the
Yeah.
sourdough.
We had that one. You said that we wanted to get as many different sources of plants. Remember that time?
So I read the book, The Plant Paradox.
Okay.
And then I read Fiber Fueled was another book I read.
Okay.
So what I took away from both of those books really is it matters how many different plants that you eat in a week, even in a day's time. So really the goal is to get a minimum, this is like on the low end, of 20 different plants in your diet per week. And if you really stop and think about it, that means you're not eating the same fruits and vegetables every single day. You're trying, and if you look at a meal, for example, Jeff makes this stir fry and he puts spinach, which counts as one plant. Kamut, which is an ancient grain, counts as a plant.
Okay.
And then he does all of these vegetables. Like it's like broccoli slaw, mushrooms, onions,
garlic,
almonds, garlic. So it's like 7 or 8 all in carrots.
So are vegetables plants?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Well, anything that's not red, not meat, you know what I mean? Anything that grows.
Yeah.
Like if so even those fruits and, those plant-based. So plant-based, the hard part is getting plant-based protein. So finding stuff like lentils and
chickpeas or chickpeas.
Yeah. And getting really all the lentils and beans, legumes.
Yeah.
They're a really good source. They can be irritating to certain people, but we like to use those. We eat red meat probably 3 times a week, not beef, but we eat red meat. But we pair that with a ton of vegetables. So I think one time we counted 40 different plant-based items in one meal.
Yeah, it was amazing.
It was
a stir fry that he had done with all these different.
But it's very diverse.
Yeah, the idea behind that, is that when you get up to 30 or more different plant foods each week, your gut microbiome becomes more diverse. And why that matters is that every plant that we eat has a different type of fiber and therefore different polyphenols, which are like cancer fighting. And because of the different fiber, they feed different strains in our gut of the bacteria. So if you're eating the same things all the time, your gut microbiome might not be as diverse. And then from a healing standpoint, the more variety, the more short chain fatty acids that you have in your gut to heal. And that of course leads to better immunity.
Yeah, this is such a really good topic because actually Jennifer's been on TV a couple of times. People want to know more about microbiome. And it's to the point where there are this is a weird thing, but they study athletes in their microbiome, and then they actually take samples thinking that they can recreate that and produce something for people who are trying to be elite, because there's so many benefits to a healthy microbiome. One of them is obviously immune health. What is it? 70% of your immune health is in your gut.
Is located in your gut. And there's another book that I'm in the middle of reading, The Gut Brain Connection.
Yes.
And it's fascinating how much clarity you can get when you really stop and think about, feeding your gut with a variety of foods. Yeah.
It's fascinating to know that almost everything in your body comes down to your gut and how you feed it. And, everything, your mind, everything in your body comes down to what you put into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. It's like I think part of the biggest issue that we have is processed food, right? So processed food, your body's having a ridiculous time dealing with that, right? And then it ends up storing it. It does cause problems not only in your gut, but your body composition, the whole works.
And so many of my clients suffer from acid reflux.
Mm.
And it's been interesting in my work as a dietitian when they remove irritants like soda, even diet soda or alcohol, it clears up.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just those two things. If you can just really cut them out, you will not have as much of that. It's your lower esophageal sphincter relaxing.
Mm-hmm.
And it just becomes a little bit more, it's designed to shut to keep the food in your stomach. But when you drink alcohol, it weakens that sphincter and it opens and it allows it to come back up. It's like, if you know that you're drinking this toxic substance causing you to be so uncomfortable when you lay down at night, why wouldn't you reconsider that habit?
Well, and
they're going to take Prilosec and they're just going to mask it.
Yes.
And they're going to continue to drink alcohol. So it can be difficult for me because I'm very much prevention. I like to talk about prevention. And if we can heal it through food, then let's heal it through food as opposed to masking it with a medication.
Yes. And I completely agree. And I think, Jennifer, you just touched on something that when it comes to your diet, we've talked kind of two different ways of how to heal yourself. Is one, you start cutting things out, writing a diary and saying, okay, how did this thing affect me not having this, right? And then the kind of extreme is what I did was I started from square one and I said, cut everything out and then we're going to start building back up.
Right.
And I think there's two different ways. You start here. So are we going to jump here and then go up? Or are we going to slowly decrease and then go up?
Exactly.
And, this reminds me, as much as we talk about diet, it also reminds me of a good budget when it comes to finances.
Yes.
Because, you got to figure out where the trigger is. If it's in gambling addiction, if it's whatever, right? What are you going to cut out
from it? Yeah.
Yeah. Or are you going to start from square one and then say, oh, I do have a little bit of money to continue this, or I do for this,
Yeah. I think I hear a lot of younger folks, especially, say, I just can't get ahead. I just can't get ahead. It's paycheck to paycheck. It's paycheck to paycheck. Well, examining those things, right? There's two things that can happen. You need to increase your income or decrease your expenses, or make the month longer, right? Or shorter, depending on how that works, right? Yeah. Well, and it's not easy. Everything, things are expensive, but I think the mindset needs to be, I just can't do that right now, right? So I think so often we're tricked and lured into this live for today mentality, and that's often, kind of pushed by influencers or making gazillion dollars off of your views. And so the tendency is to want to have everything right now, and eliminating bad habits from both your food and your finances are can really be beneficial long term. But the idea that you have goals, right? So I think understanding that having goals, and having it right now are two different things. So I think it's important that we can defer that satisfaction both in our food and in our finances in order for something much larger to come along. And I can tell you, Jennifer and I both can speak to the financial part of things. When, I've been, October will be the start of my 25th year in business.
Woo!
Yeah. I know, it's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I was 10 when I started. So. Just kidding. But those first few years, I mean, I couldn't do anything. And but as time goes on, when you get 10 years in, so if you're in your 20s and you're 10 years into your, you start out, by the time you're in your 30s, you're starting to make some momentum. And when you get into your 40s, you're really making momentum and you're smarter. You know what I mean? You're smarter and you're making more money. So I think if you're young, just be patient, just understand. I mean, Jaclyn, you're in that category. It is tough starting out, but just know that if you're patient and you're able to save and defer, it just gets so much better when you do start to have money. And if you stay humble, stay in that space where you're having an eye down the road in your future, I'm telling you, the nicer things will show up right at the time that you really can enjoy them.
Well, and Jeff, I mean, you touched on something that I just want to point out, because society is looking for quick fixes when it comes to your health, when it comes to your money.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? You see someone as an influencer or whatever, and you're like, I want that. How do I get that? I'm going to do it now. What's
Right.
the quick thing? What's the pill I need to take? What is the,
Yes.
investment I need to make now? And
Mhm.
how can I get there tomorrow? And that's just not reality. When it comes to your health or finances, it's taking baby steps and getting there, cutting things out, keeping a log, keeping a budget,
Yes.
whatever it is, to figure out what the common denominator is and how to fix that for your individual plan.
That's right. If you're walking, if you if you go to bed with the lights off, you have an idea where the bathroom is in the middle of the night, right? But you're going to stumble and fall until you figure out that path. If you get into a new house and you walk around the bed and you trip and fall a few times, you're going to get back up.
Stub that dang toe.
Yeah, but a couple years in, you're just getting up, walking in, and walking right back in. You know the path. And so the hard part is feeling your way through the dark a lot of times in both of these areas. And that's why it's so important to have somebody that knows and has been through it before to sort of help guide you. I think that more than anything is the most valuable way, whether that's a family member, someone in the industries that we're talking about, and then hiring someone to do it. And in your 20s, it's tough because money matters. And but getting help and getting the advice that you need, and then just doing it, just stumble a few times, you won't do it after that.
Yeah. And what might work for someone online, might not work for you.
No.
And so it's important to disassociate that. And yeah, that person's doing great for themselves, but how can we get there in your plan, individualized? And how can you, everything's just going to be different for you.
And usually the faster it happens, whatever the result is that you're looking for, the faster it's going to be reversed.
Yeah. And the hard.
Yeah. So I would say take the time, be patient.
Do you know how many broke lottery winners there are?
Oh,
that's the thing. It is extremely rare to win the lottery, but it's extremely rare to have any money after 5 years of winning the lottery.
Yes.
Most people are broke and worse off than they were before they won the lottery than have success stories. And there's a reason for that. Because you can't handle it. If you could handle the money, you'd have it. And I think the reality is that we are designed, and I'm a believer, so I think that God only gives you what you can handle, and that works both ways, right? Negatively and positively. And as you prove that you can handle it, you get more. And I found that to be the case in finances and fitness.
Yeah. And what's your self-discipline?
Right. That's exactly right. Because that's what it takes is not chasing down pipe dreams that lead to nothing.
I think most people, they try to earn more money instead of like removing the clutter. Like Jeff was interviewed recently on Fox 5 about budgeting and these subscriptions that people just forget about.
Yes.
And on top of that, impulse spending. I mean, you see something on an ad that's targeted to you. I mean, I said the other day, man, I think I should do a specialty credential as a dietitian for postmenopausal women, because it's a population of people that really struggle with, gaining weight in their midsection, their energy is low, etc. Literally, I pick up my phone 5 minutes later and I've got an ad for, a credentialed, I forget what it was, but
they're listening.
Postmenopausal women, lifestyle, nutrition, something. And I was like, what? And, I could have easily been like, yes. And, let's buy this. I mean, but anyway, it's just amazing how targeted these ads are and how impulsive you can be.
The cards are stacked against you. Let's face it. I mean, anybody that, wants more for themselves wants the easiest, quickest way to get there. Right. And I think that is, we understand that. on this side of the fence. But the reality is that, that is a very, very small section of society that can do those things. It's not for most of us. And, a perfect example is that my genetics have always been, if I eat a cheeseburger, it shows up the next day. You know what I mean? It's literally that quick, that sensitive. So, my kids, when they were little, they had really skinny friends, and they could eat pizza all day. They could, and my kid, I was like, guys, look, I'm sorry. This is the deal. This is what,
That's how it's been with me too.
these are the cards that you're dealt. Your friends can get away with that until they can't, but you can't. You cannot do that and still be, in a healthy weight or a healthy situation. So, you have to know what you're spending, what you're saving, and what you're putting into your mouth. Those all matter, what your body and what your lifestyle afford, right? So you got to be honest with who you are, and that there's nothing wrong with who you are. You just need to know, what, guess what? There are strengths in being able to gain weight. You know what else you're able to do? Gain a ton of muscle very quickly. So if you know that, use what you have. Use the best things of your lifestyle or your body, what your body does better than anybody else. It may not do well with gluten, but I bet it does something great with another food source. And really taking the time to dive into what it is that benefits you and what it is that takes away from you, and then sorting those things out is well worth it. It makes a really good life where you're not fighting yourself every step of the way.
Yeah. Are we going to put a Band-Aid on top of it, or are we going to find the fix?
Exactly.
That's so good.
There's no blanket approach. You have to really work within your own individual makeup.
Right. I mean, I'll just speak for me with Jennifer. I've had a tremendous amount of success with Jennifer, with my fitness and in my nutrition, because we were able to identify areas that I'm good at, and things that I'm bad at. So and what I mean by that was I wanted to do 140 miles of cycling a week, but it made me skinny fat. So
okay, that's a new term. Can we just go back to that skinny fat?
Yeah. So like, I'll put it, for example, I was 192 pounds, right? And 18% body fat. And I looked like I had sausage arms. You know what I mean? Like, I just didn't have any definition. Do you know what I'm talking about? You're kind of,
or were you like a little top heavy?
Yeah.
It was like low. He had low muscle mass and a higher BMI. I mean, it's kind of what it is. Yeah.
Right. Like, my lower body has always been big, like muscular, but my upper body was like kind of like tiny.
Yeah.
Not tiny, but smaller, but just kind of like I had a little extra marbling in the midsection. And so she like changed the way I exercise. So I went from high endurance, which was creating cortisol release, because my body was like, oh my gosh, we're running from something, to high intensity, short bursts, and it just melted off of me, and I created muscle. So, I mean, I would never have known that. I would have kept saying, geez, I guess I'm eating the wrong things, or I'm not working hard enough on the bike. I never would have thought cortisol release or, these things. Anyway, my point is that, you have to be active in finding what works for you or what doesn't work for you and eliminate it. Like alcohol, for example. I can't drink alcohol. If I drink alcohol, I'm going to gain weight immediately. I'm going to feel like garbage. It's just not, and that's not worth it to me. It might be worth it to other people. It's just not.
And one last thing I want to mention is, making changes now does not mean a forever change. And, we're talking about making a budget. If we're going to cut something out of your budget now, that doesn't mean that in a couple of years you can't bring it back in. That doesn't mean that, with food, if I'm cutting out gluten now, I can most likely, I hope that one day I can bring it back in. And just know that it's all up to you and how your body and your budget and everything aligns and what's right for your long-term goals.
That's a great point.
It is a great point.
Yeah. I mean, and I'll tell you what, if you want a Ferrari, take a picture of it and stick it on your mirror.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
like
Like those things, when you have a desire for something and you can't reach it right now,
self-discipline. Yep.
put it somewhere where you're like, this is what I want to do, because all that other stuff will go away if that's what you really want to achieve.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
and continue to bring it back to what matters. What are your values?
Mhm.
You know, are your values to be around for your grandkids? Are your values to be able to live in your 3-story house with stairs? You know,
Mhm.
then what are you going to do to keep to make that happen?
All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
All right, guys. Well, we are gearing the end of this episode. So why don't you share how our listeners and viewers can get a hold of you?
Yeah, so go visit our website at fitnessfinancepro.com. And then from there, you will see the option to book a discovery call with both Jeff and myself.
Yeah. And quick update. We're really close to starting our project with retreats.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, we'll have to talk about that next time.
yeah, we'll talk about it next time.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Jaclyn, we really enjoyed this.
Yes, very nice.
Thank you for sitting in.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. It's such a fun time to spend with you guys, and a great topic. I mean, I'm just as interested in this as I bet you both are. So thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Jaclyn.
Yes.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.